All right, what's up, guys? As you can see, I've been home for the majority of the day. I actually went out earlier to watch some football. I saw the 1 o'clock games, and then I came back home. So I did some videos before the 1 o'clock games, and then the Giants pissed me off so bad that and it's funny because if you watch football, all the other games were good. Like almost all of them were good. The Patriots game was good. There was a lot of close games in the first wave of games this morning or this afternoon. But I did a couple videos before I went out, and then I came back and I did a few more. But anyway, so I was just reading on Boxing Scene because I was watching the Linares fight with Luke Campbell. I was just catching back up to that, and pretty good fight. I still got a lot more to go. I'm only at the fifth round right now. All right, but so I'm just on my laptop and I'm looking at the boxing scene news, and I see that they finally gave an explanation of the whole deal with Daniel Jacobs. Okay, now I heard that he announced that he was gonna do a multi-fight deal over there on HBO, which is no surprise, and that he's signing with Eddie Hearn. Okay, um, I didn't think that he would end his ties with Al Heyman though, but I wanted it to be confirmed before I spoke on it. But I didn't expect him to end his ties with Al Heyman because it makes sense for him to go to HBO as a middleweight. Now, the first thing I thought is if you look at the middleweight division, right? If you just look at historically, at least in recent years, if you look at the champions even before Triple G, most of the champions over there at the middleweight division, as far as I remember, were over there fighting on HBO. Okay, if you look at the top middleweight guys like Sergio Martinez, okay, if you look at Chavez Jr., Darren Barker, Felix Stern, okay, I'm trying to think, and even more the most recent ones like Canelo, Cotto, uh, Triple G. Okay. The only one that I remember actually specifically fighting for Showtime was Peter Quillen. And I think that was part of the reason why he couldn't get major fights and couldn't get like unification because you still had the network problems and Al Heyman, his power wasn't stretched out that far yet. He was over there with Al Heyman. He was just sticking to Al Heyman, and he was just fighting. He was just fighting specifically for Showtime. But if you think about it, if you look at all those other names I just brought up in the past years or so, you see that the majority of those guys were fighting on HBO, for years now. Um, so in any event, it kind of makes sense for him to go over there and fight at HBO. I mean, he knocked out Peter Quillen. That was something big that he wanted to do. He had a very, very tough fight with Golovkin. A lot of people think he won that fight. And Golovkin just fought Canelo. And, you know, I'm sure he's trying to get another title shot between, whether it's with Triple G, whether it's with a big fight with Canelo, whether he fights Billy Joe Saunders, everything could be made for him at HBO. There's really nothing left for him to get done at Showtime. Now I would like for him to see. I would like for him to fight Jamal Charlo. Okay, I made a video recently about that. I would like to see that fight, but they are under the same umbrella over there with Al Heyman. So, as much as I would like to see that fight, if they really press that fight, I'm sure it can be made at any time. Especially after this. I don't know how many fights he has in this deal with HBO. So I'm sure we're able to see that fight, and Jamal Charlo is actually set up to get a WBC title shot. So he's right there to get a title shot soon. Whether or not Triple G fights Canelo in a rematch immediately, I don't know. But Danny Jacobs is in position, and Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is great. He's a great promoter. I don't see why not signing with him. I know most of these guys over that is being advised by Al Heyman don't really have promoters. I know they do. They only deal with. They have partnerships with promoters, and they deal with the promoters from a fight by fight basis instead of you know, being under contract with them to doing multi fights. You know, they haven't really been doing that since they stopped. You know, since they stopped being aligned with Golden Boy. All right, so yeah, I think it's great. You know, I think for a middleweight, that's where it's at. And I made a video recently about the 3-fight card that's coming up with Lara and Trout and all of those guys. 154 is flooded with guys that's over there on Showtime, you know. And this is one of the issues I've always had with Demetrius Andrade, being, you know, he's not really with he's with Star Boxing, and he's not really with a major promoter, you know, and it's hard for him to get his fights. I think they offered him a deal a couple years back with Showtime where he was supposed to fight Jamel, and then that fell through. So sometimes when you're in a certain division, it's better to be aligned with a certain network because it really depends on what fighters are fighting for that network. You have Golovkin fighting on that network. I'm sure Jacobs would love to get a rematch with him, being that the first fight was so close. Who wouldn't want to fight Canelo, you know? So, I mean, these are all options for him. And even some of the guys like, look, David Lemieux, you know, he's another recent champion that was fighting on HBO. These are all fights that are possibilities for a guy like Daniel Jacobs. You know, Curtis Stevens was another guy he's been fighting on HBO. You know, the list goes on and on. The only two guys that I could think of specifically was like Peter Quillen, who last time I checked, he moved up to 168. Or at least I thought. I think he had a fight recently, or he might have a fight coming up. But the last time I've heard anything about Peter Quillen, he was moving up to 168. So I think it's good for Daniel Jacobs, and you know what? It's good for Al Heyman to work on relationships with HBO. Now they have to deal with him somewhat and this also goes to show that when it comes to business, when it comes to money, deals can be made if it makes financial sense. And all of this blocking and excuses of why fights can't be made, it can be made. You know, Daniel Jacobs is a likable guy. You know, they're probably going to have him set up for a night. I believe he was supposed to fight on Wilder's undercard, okay, and fight with Luis Ortiz in Brooklyn, which would have made sense. But I'm sure HBO is going to work out a deal where, all right, you know what, let's set him up for a good comeback fight from the loss of Triple G and set it up on HBO. You know, he's a big puncher. He's a skilled boxer. He's a big puncher. And let's set him up with a return fight. Someone that's, you know, respectable at 160. And set him up for possible another future fight with maybe a Canelo or a Triple G. It all makes sense. So I'm with it. And congratulations to Daniel Jacobs. Big fan of his. You know, love him here from New York native. Great guy, you know, and I'm looking forward to see him fight in the next fight. You know, I think this all makes sense. It puts him right in position. 160 is ran by HBO. It is, you know. Jamal Charlo, for him, at least he's kind of in position to get a title shot because he's ranked so high. You know, he's coming from 154 from being a champion at 154. So I'm looking forward to Daniel Jacobs and his whole thing with Eddie Hearn. You know, Eddie Hearn is cool. I'm sure Eddie Hearn and Al will set him up for a good fight. And the guy is he's a very intelligent guy. Every time I hear him doing interviews, you know, he seems like he knows what's going on and what's right for him in his career. You know, I wish more fighters were like him. All right, so let me know what you guys think. Obviously, he's probably not going to fight Triple G or Canelo right away, but if you would want to see Jacobs fight someone, who would it be? You know, if these guys are going to fight each other and he's not going to fight neither one of these guys because they're going to rematch again, maybe he could get a shot at Saunders. You know, I still want to see the Jamal Charlo fight. I doubt that happens. I want it as a fan, but I doubt it happens. That's the fight I really want. But I would like if he were to get a title shot against Saunders, you know, or, you know, whatever, you know, any good fighter, you know, maybe Lemieux. Lemieux's out there. He knocked out Stevens, you know. and also a Brooklyn native. He knocked out Stevens recently, so let's see how Daniel can do against Lemieux. That would be a good fight, on HBO. Lemieux's been on HBO banging for years. All right, so let me know what you guys think. I think I'm done with videos today. Okay, I think I'm gonna just watch some boxing. I know you guys are waiting for the Lomachenko Rigo video. All right, starting to get requests for that. That's on the way. Just want to watch some film. Probably gonna start watching film tomorrow if I get some downtime. I'm just trying to catch up on these other fights from this weekend. I didn't see the Oscar Valdez fight neither. I gotta catch up on that, and I'm gonna finish watching this Linares fight with Luke Campbell. But I'm gonna do. I got that Rigo video on the way with Lomachenko. I'm gonna try to get that done this week. I still got to do the heavyweight predictions for the big fights. All right, with Joshua and Pulev. I got all of those on the way. They're on the way, guys. Just give me some time. I can't get to these videos every single day, but give me some time. All right, so make sure you guys subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.